The champagne flute in my hand was sweating. Or maybe that was me. I stood in the corner of the Metropolitan Gala ballroom, hidden behind a tower of white orchids that probably cost more than my rent. Around me, Chicago's elite mingled under crystal chandeliers, old money in pearls, new money in diamonds, and dangerous money in perfectly tailored suits that concealed perfectly illegal weapons. I was here to arrange flowers, nothing more. The Metropolitan Gala was the event of the season, a fundraiser for some charity I couldn't pronounce, hosted at the Sinclair estate. 300 guests, 60-foot ceilings, security so tight you needed a retinal scan just to use the bathroom. I'd been hired yesterday. Emergency call. The original florist had food poisoning, and my boss at Petal and Thorn had shoved the contract into my hands with a desperate look that said, "Don't screw this up." So here I was, 26 years old, arranging roses for people who spent more on wine than I made in a year. I was adjusting a centerpiece when I saw him. Dante Moretti. Everyone knew the name. You didn't live in Chicago without knowing it. He was the wolf in expensive clothing, heir to the Moretti crime family, 32 years old. Devastatingly handsome in that dangerous way that made smart women cross the street. He stood near the bar, surrounded by men in dark suits. His own suit was charcoal gray, perfectly cut, the kind that whispered wealth without shouting it. Black hair swept back, sharp jaw, eyes the color of smoke, cold, calculating, missing nothing. He looked like he owned the room. He probably did. I forced myself to look away, to focus on the orchids, on staying invisible, but my hands were shaking, because 10 minutes ago I'd been in the service hallway behind the ballroom, carrying a box of spare vases, and I'd heard voices, two men, speaking low and urgent in Italian. "È qui, l'avvocato." He's here. The accountant. "Sicuro?" "Certain. L'FBI lo ha girato. Sta indossando un filo. Deve morire stasera." The FBI turned him. He's wearing a wire. He must die tonight. My Italian was restaurant level at best, picked up from working catering gigs in Little Italy. But I understood enough. Someone here was an informant, and someone else was planning to kill him. I should have walked away. Should have pretended I'd heard nothing. Instead, I'd frozen, heart hammering, box of vases clutched against my chest. Then one of the men had laughed. A sound like breaking glass. "Moretti non sa nulla. L'ha assunto lui stesso." Moretti knows nothing. He hired him himself. That's when I realized. Dante Moretti's accountant was FBI, and the men planning to kill him were part of Moretti's own organization. Now I stood in the ballroom, watching Dante Moretti laugh at something one of his men said, completely unaware that betrayal was breathing down his neck. I could walk away, clock out, go home, forget I'd heard anything, let whatever was going to happen just happen. But then I thought about my brother, about the overdose that had killed him 3 years ago, about the dealers who'd sold him fentanyl-laced heroin and walked away without consequence. I thought about justice, about the difference between the law and what was right. And I thought, I can't just let someone die. Even if that someone was a criminal, even if warning him made me complicit, even if it was the stupidest thing I'd ever done. I scanned the room. Dante Moretti was still at the bar, 50 feet away, surrounded by guards. How was I supposed to warn him? I couldn't just walk up. A florist approaching the most dangerous man in Chicago would raise red flags immediately. I couldn't shout. The men who wanted him dead were watching, waiting. Then I saw him turn, saw his gaze sweep the room in that predatory way powerful men have, assessing, calculating. Our eyes met across the crowded ballroom, just for a second. Just long enough for my heart to kick against my ribs. Then his attention moved on, dismissing me, a nobody in a black dress arranging flowers. But in that second, I made a decision. I set down my champagne flute, pulled out my phone, opened the Notes app. My hands shook so badly the first 3 attempts came out illegible. Finally, I typed 4 words. Your accountant is FBI. Then I looked up. Dante Moretti was still at the bar, still surrounded, still laughing, still alive. For now. I needed to get his attention, needed to make him look at me without making it obvious to everyone else in the room. My heart was a war drum. I took a breath. Then I stepped out from behind the orchids, and I stared. Not politely, not subtly. I stared at Dante Moretti like my life depended on it. Because maybe it did. It took 30 seconds before he felt it. That weight of being watched. His head turned slowly. His expression was neutral. Then his eyes found mine. I held my phone up, screen facing him, and I mouthed the words slowly, carefully. Your accountant is FBI. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Dante Moretti just stared at me, expression unreadable. Then his jaw tightened. A muscle jumped in his cheek. His gaze flicked to my phone, to my face, back to the phone. He understood. I lowered the phone, deleted the message. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. When I looked up again, Dante Moretti was moving. Not toward me, toward a man in a navy suit standing near the hors d'oeuvres table. Mid-40s, wire-rimmed glasses, thinning hair. The accountant. Moretti's hand landed on the man's shoulder. Friendly, casual. But I saw the accountant's face go pale. Moretti leaned in, said something low and quiet. The accountant nodded, smiled. A smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then Moretti gestured toward the exit. Still smiling, still casual. But the 2 men who flanked the accountant weren't smiling. They walked him out. Not rough, not obvious, but not optional either. I stood there, frozen, watching them disappear through the service doors. What had I just done? A hand touched my elbow. I flinched, spun. A woman stood there, mid-30s, blonde, beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. She wore a red dress that probably cost more than my car. You're the florist, she said. Not a question. Yes. Yes. Her smile was cold. Mr. Moretti would like a word. My stomach dropped into my shoes. I'm working. I can't just... Now. It wasn't a request. I followed her through the ballroom, past guests who didn't look at me, past guards who watched everything, through a side door, down a hallway lined with oil paintings, into a study. Dante Moretti stood by the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the Chicago skyline. The woman in red left, closed the door behind her, and suddenly I was alone with him. He didn't turn around. What's your name? His voice was smooth, controlled, the kind of calm that preceded violence. Lily. Lily Chen. Lily Chen. He repeated it slowly. The florist. Yes. How did you know? My throat closed. I overheard something. In the service hallway. 2 men. They were speaking Italian. What did they say? I told him. Every word I remembered. When I finished, silence filled the room like concrete. Then Dante Moretti turned. Up close, he was even more dangerous. Tall, broad-shouldered, eyes that saw straight through skin and bone. Do you know what you just did? He asked softly. I saved your life. Maybe. You exposed yourself to men who kill people for far less than eavesdropping. He moved closer. Each step deliberate. You interfered in business that has nothing to do with you. I couldn't just let him die. Him? One dark eyebrow rose. The accountant, the man working with the FBI to destroy everything I've built. That's who you couldn't let die? I didn't know he was. I just knew someone was going to be murdered. I couldn't. Couldn't what? Stand by and do nothing. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Expensive. Masculine. Close enough to kill me if he wanted to. You have no idea what you've walked into, he said. Then let me leave. Can't. Why not? Because you've seen too much. Heard too much. His head tilted. And because the men who wanted that accountant dead saw you warn me. Ice flooded my veins. What? They were watching. They know you're the reason their plan failed. His expression didn't change. Which means they'll come for you. But I don't. I'm nobody. I just arrange flowers. I don't know anything about. You know enough. He pulled out his phone, sent a quick text. Which means you're under my protection now, whether you want to be or not. I don't need your protection. Lily. He said my name like a warning. 2 hours ago, a florist overheard a murder plot. She warned the target. She saved his life. He stepped closer. Do you understand what that makes you in my world? A witness. An asset. The word hung between us. Heavy. Dangerous. I'm not. You are. His hand came up, cupped my jaw. The touch was surprisingly gentle. And assets need to be protected. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. I should have pulled away. I didn't. What happens now? I whispered. Now? His smile was blade thin. Now you stay close to me. You don't leave this estate without my permission. You don't speak to anyone I don't approve. His eyes locked onto mine. And you pray that the men who want you dead make a mistake before I do. This is insane. Yes. You can't just. I can. He released me, stepped back. And I am. He moved to the desk, poured 2 glasses of scotch, handed me one. I didn't drink it. Why are you doing this? I asked. Doing what? Protecting me. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Dante Moretti studied me for a long moment. Then he said something I didn't expect. You could have walked away. You could have let Marcus die. Marcus. The accountant. Marcus Delano. FBI agent embedded in my organization for 18 months. He took a slow sip of scotch. He would have testified against me, put me in prison for life, destroyed my family. Then why didn't you kill him? I still might. He smiled. But not tonight. Tonight, he's being questioned by people far more skilled at extracting information than the FBI. The casual way he said it made my skin crawl. You're going to torture him. I'm going to find out who else is working against me, who turned him, what evidence he's collected. His eyes never left mine. And then, I'll decide what to do with him. That's monstrous. That's survival. I set down the scotch glass, untouched. I want to go home. No, you can't keep me here. I can. He moved toward me again. Slow, predatory. And I will. Because the moment you step outside these walls, Lily, you're dead. You don't know that. I do. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. It was me, standing in the ballroom. Phone raised, mouth forming words. Someone had taken a picture. This was sent to 3 separate members of my organization 20 minutes ago, Dante said quietly, with instructions to eliminate the threat. My legs went weak. Oh God. You're not going home, Lily. You're staying here, with me, until I figure out who's trying to kill you. His hand found the small of my back. Warm. Possessive. And when I find them, I'll make sure they never threaten you again. The promise should have terrified me. Instead, I felt something else. Safe. For the first time in 3 years, since my brother died, since I'd been alone, I felt safe. Even if that safety came from the most dangerous man in Chicago. The guest room was obscene. King bed, silk sheets, windows overlooking the estate gardens, a bathroom larger than my entire apartment. I stood in the middle of it all, still wearing my black work dress, still shaking. Dante Moretti had left me here 20 minutes ago. Instructions simple. Stay. Don't leave. Don't call anyone. A guard stood outside my door. I was a prisoner in a palace. I moved to the window, pressed my forehead against the cool glass. Below, the gala continued. Guests mingling, orchestra playing. No one aware that a man had been dragged away, that a florist had just become a target. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. A text from my roommate. "Where are you? It's past midnight." I stared at the message. Typed. "Still working. Don't wait up." Deleted it. Typed. "I'm okay. Tell you everything tomorrow." Sent it before I could second guess. Another buzz. This time, an unknown number. Bedroom door. "Open it." I froze. Looked at the door. It opened. Dante Moretti stood there. He'd removed his jacket, loosened his tie. He looked less polished now, more dangerous. "You texted," he said. "My roommate. She was worried." "What did you tell her?" "That I'm working late." He nodded, stepped inside, closed the door. We were alone. "You shouldn't be here," I said. "It's my house. You know what I mean." He smiled. Not friendly, just aware. "You're scared of me." "Yes." "Good." He moved closer. "Fear keeps you alive. Is that what you want? Me afraid? I want you smart." He stopped a foot away. "And staying alive requires being smart in my world." "This isn't my world." "It is now." I looked up at him, at those smoke-gray eyes that missed nothing. "I didn't ask for this." "Neither did I." His expression softened. Just slightly. "But here we are. What happens tomorrow?" "Tomorrow, we find out who wants you dead. And we deal with them." "How?" "Permanently." The word landed like a stone. "You're going to kill them. If necessary." "And if it's not necessary?" "Then they'll wish I had." He said it so calmly, like discussing the weather. I should have been horrified, should have demanded he let me go, should have threatened to call the police. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew he was right. I'd stepped into his world, and his world didn't let people go. "Get some sleep," Dante said. He turned toward the door. "Wait." He stopped, looked back. "Thank you," I said quietly, "for protecting me. Even though you don't have to." Something flickered across his face, too quick to name. "I always protect what's mine," he said. Then he was gone, and I stood there in the silence, replaying those words. What's mine? Like I belonged to him already, like there was no other option. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every sound was a threat, every shadow a killer. I lay in that enormous bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my brother, about the last time I'd seen him alive. He'd been high, eyes glassy, skin pale. "I'm fine, Lily. Stop worrying." 2 days later, he was dead. Overdose, fentanyl-laced heroin, sold by dealers who disappeared before the police could find them. I'd wanted justice, but justice required proof, required witnesses, required a system that cared about dead addicts in Southside Chicago, so I'd gotten nothing. And my brother's killers had walked free. That's why I'd warned Dante Moretti. Not because I was brave, because I knew what it felt like to watch someone die and do nothing. I couldn't do that again, even if it cost me everything. Morning came gray and cold. I showered, changed into clothes someone had left on the bathroom counter. Jeans, sweater, my size exactly, which meant Dante Moretti had people who could determine a woman's measurements just by looking at her. The thought should have creeped me out. Instead, it made something low in my stomach tighten. When I emerged, the guard was gone, but a woman stood in the hallway, the blonde from last night. Red dress replaced by black pants and a white blouse. "Mr. Moretti wants to see you," she said. "Who are you?" "Elena, his assistant." The pause before assistant suggested the job description was more complicated than that. I followed her downstairs, through hallways lined with art that probably belonged in museums, into a room that looked like a command center. Screens covered one wall, security feeds from around the estate, around the city. Dante Moretti stood in front of them, arms crossed, watching. He didn't turn when I entered. "Sleep well?" he asked. "No. Honest. I like that." Elena left, closed the door, and again I was alone with him. "I found them," Dante said. "Them? The men who want you dead." He finally turned. "3 soldiers in my organization, paid by a rival family to eliminate Marcus and anyone who interfered. Are they dead?" "Not yet." His smile was cold. "But they will be." "Don't." He raised an eyebrow. "Don't what?" "Kill them. Not because of me. Lily." He moved toward me, slow, deliberate. "They tried to murder you. They betrayed me. This isn't about mercy." "Then what is it about?" "Survival." He stopped inches away. "In my world, betrayal has consequences. If I let this slide, I look weak. And weakness gets you killed." "So you kill them to prove you're strong." "I kill them to stay alive." I looked up at him, at that hard, beautiful face. "Is that all you care about? Staying alive?" For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Something almost human. "No," he said quietly, "but it's the only thing that matters right now." His hand came up, cupped my face. I should have pulled away. I didn't. "You confuse me," he said. "How?" "You're terrified, but you're still here. Still looking at me like I'm a person instead of a monster." "Maybe you're both." He smiled, genuine this time. "Maybe I am." His thumb brushed my lower lip, and I forgot how to breathe. "Dante, tell me to stop." I didn't. He leaned in, slowly, giving me time to move, to protest. I didn't do either. His lips touched mine, soft, warm, unexpected. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, then he pulled back. "That was a mistake," he said. "Yes, I don't make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes." "Not me." But he didn't move away. "You should go home." "You said I couldn't." "I changed my mind." "Why?" "Because if you stay—" He stopped, jaw tight. "You need to go, Lily, before this becomes something neither of us can walk away from." "What if I don't want to walk away?" The question shocked us both. Dante Moretti stared at me, expression unreadable. Then he said something that changed everything. "Then God help us both." I didn't go home. Not because he forced me to stay, because I chose to. Over the next 3 days, I lived in Dante Moretti's world. I watched him work, watched him command, watched him become a different person depending on who was in the room. Cold with his enemies, calculating with his allies, almost gentle with me. He showed me things he shouldn't have. The security operations, the business fronts, the careful balance between legal and illegal that kept his empire running. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked on the 3rd night. We sat in his study, fireplace crackling, scotch in crystal glasses. "Because you asked," he said simply. "That's not a reason." "Isn't it?" He looked at me. "You're the first person in years who's asked about me instead of what I can do for them." "I don't understand you." "Good." He smiled. "I don't understand you either." "What's there to understand? I'm a florist. I arrange flowers. I pay my rent late. I eat ramen 3 times a week." You also risk your life to save a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore. The words hung between us. Dangerous. True. Dante set down his glass. Stood. Moved to the fireplace. My father died when I was 19, he said quietly. Shot in the street like an animal. The police called it gang violence. Closed the case in a week. I didn't speak. Just listened. I inherited his empire, his enemies, his debts. He stared into the flames. I was just a kid. But I learned fast. Kill or be killed. Trust no one. Show no weakness. That sounds lonely. It is. He turned. Looked at me. Until 3 days ago. My heart kicked. Dante? I'm not a good man, Lily. I've done terrible things. Hurt people. Destroyed lives. His voice was steady. Certain. But when I'm with you, I feel like maybe I could be. I stood. Moved toward him. You don't have to be good, I said softly. You just have to be honest. I want you. The confession was raw. Unguarded. I know. I shouldn't. I know. But I do. I reached up, touched his face. Then stopped fighting it. He kissed me. Not gentle this time, hungry, desperate. His hands found my waist, pulled me against him. I melted into it. Into him. Everything else fell away. The danger. The fear. The impossibility of what we were doing. All that mattered was his mouth on mine. His hands in my hair. The way he held me like I was the only thing keeping him human. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. This is insane, he whispered. I know. You should run. I won't. Lily, I won't, I repeated, firmer this time. So stop asking me to. He pulled back, looked at me, and for the first time since I'd met him, Dante Moretti looked afraid. If you stay, he said quietly, there's no going back. You'll be mine. And mine means forever in this world. Then I guess I'm staying. His smile was slow, devastating. God help you? God help us both. He kissed me again, and somewhere in the house phones were ringing. Danger was coming. But for one perfect moment, none of it mattered, because I'd found something I thought was lost forever. Someone who saw me, really saw me, and refused to let me go.